my name is Glenn Dyer, and you are watching a Dyer-Situation. Today I am seeing The Birth of a Nation. Well, let's just say there's a lot of landmines in talking about this movie, especially its title and its place in our world. So, for those of you who don't know, The Birth of a Nation is also the title of a 1914, something around that, silent film. It's about 3 hours long, and it's about, in essence, it's about the Civil War. The first half is about, like, the war itself, second half is about Reconstruction. It was really groundbreaking for the time, and how it cut together for montage, how well paced it was, and honestly, watching it, at least the first half, it doesn't feel like it's 3 hours. It feels really short and really concise, and it's quite enjoyable to watch. And this is where the second half comes in, it's also a love letter to the Ku Klux Klan. And that's where the controversy comes in. You see, it's impossible to talk about film history without mentioning this movie because it pioneered so many techniques that we use today, but it's also racist as hell. So it's simultaneously one of the best movies of all time and one of the movies that you wouldn't be caught dead saying is your favorite of all time. So, yeah, it's a bit touchy, to put it lightly. And, so, of course, when I went onto IMDb one day and I watched the new trailer for The Birth of a Nation 2016, it caught my eye a little. So I watched it, I was like, did the Klan leaders actually, like, make a remake of this? Where did they get the funding for that? That's what I thought at first. And, but no. This movie, it's about, it's set in the 1800s, and it's about, a rebellion of slaves, from what I gather. Trying to free themselves. That's all I know of the plot, so forgive me if I got something wrong there. And, you know, it basically, according to, the person who made the movie, that the reason he took the title is basically to flip the bird to the old movie, kind of saying something negative about remakes in general here, where he's basically trying to erase it. Like, now there's a new Birth of a Nation, now there's not only just the racist one, there's this one, which is better, right? But you see, that's not something to be taken so lightly. Like, of course there's been controversial remakes and stuff. Of course, like this year, there's been controversial remakes. There's Ghostbusters, right? But in Ghostbusters, the movie they remade isn't controversial, for one thing. The issues present in it are honestly kind of trivial. The fact that, like, it's played all by women, like, that's not that controversial. Not really. So, with this movie, trying to erase it, you can't hold any punches like that. I have to word this very, very carefully. This is like a minefield, by the way. But, here's the issue. If somebody were to honestly make a movie intended to erase Birth of a Nation, good for you. That is, if you are able to do it, that is great. But here's the problem. You have to do it completely and utterly. How do I mean that? Well, The Birth of a Nation, of course, it's a landmark in in movie making and stuff. You can't completely destroy it. It has historical context, right? But at the very least, you can undermine it. The movie had groundbreaking cinematography. It was a really well-paced movie. It is, as I said, it is still enjoyable to watch. It is a really well-designed film. And if you want to bury it, you can't get rid of the historical context, but if you want to actually bury it as an art piece, you need to make a movie that's not only good, you have to make a movie that's spectacular. And judging from the trailer, I'm not sure this movie is up to it. I'm really not. I mean, the cinematography in use seems normal. Its primary method, at least as far as advertisements go, is more sensationalist rather than well thought out. And what I mean by sensationalist is that, like, it shows posters of the main character being hung with the American flag, like that kind of sensationalist. Clearly drawing in imagery because of the recent shootings from police officers and stuff. And I don't think that that's the kind of thing that can totally erase the original movie. Like, what he said kind of intended. And it's making me think that the title wasn't really taken to erase the film. It was instead taken to add just a little more controversy to this one in order to get people to watch it. Which, I guess if it has a good message, that's fine, but it'll have unintended consequences to it. For one thing, the title of this video, all the message boards that will talk about it have to add that little 2016 to it to not confuse anyone. And just that alone will get some people to wonder, what's this original movie about? So, essentially, unless you make a movie that is so damn good that you don't even care what the original's about, you're gonna maybe get people to actually watch the other movie, and maybe enjoy it. And maybe enjoy it for the wrong reasons. That movie's sneaky, by the way. The first half, like, you see some people in blackface and stuff, but nothing too, like, harsh. Until the second half, when it shows black people acting like monkeys, and taking over Congress, and being clowns, and attempting to rape women and stuff. Like, it kind of just moves you into it. So, it wouldn't surprise me, honestly, if this movie just carelessly uses that title and uses that image to promote itself now, but has really bad unintended consequences over the long term. So I guess what I'm saying is, I don't think this movie's going to be fantastic. I think it's probably going to be good, but unless it's one of the best damn movies I've ever seen, it's kind of a failure. So, I guess all I have to say to that is, good luck. I'm counting on you. It is a good movie. In fact, a really good movie. Very powerful, a lot of great imagery. The writing, oh my god, the writing in this movie is fantastic. Like, you really do get a deep sense of empathy for all the characters in there. But what lets down the movie, and what prevents it from achieving that goal, and what really makes me think that the title is really just a way of getting free controversial there's a few things. For one, the movie has nothing to do with any nation being born. So there's that. And for another, it's mostly a lot of not paying attention to detail. Especially when it comes to the character's age. So, for instance, the movie starts off in Africa, right? And we see the little kid, who's like the little kid that will grow up to be our main character, right? And of course, this is before they're enslaved and stuff. And then it cuts to they're enslaved on a plantation. And the kid is the exact same age he was before. And the movie, it seems to struggle with this all the time, where characters will grow up like 18, 20 years, and it seems like they're the only ones who did so, and everyone else is the same age. Like, he refers to this one character, like a couple characters, as Mom and Pop, and they look like they could be his sister and brother. And I honestly can't tell, is that just a name of affection, or is that seriously supposed to be his mother and father? Because they look like they're the same age. And yeah, just stuff like that. The little details that would otherwise make the film seem like this is real, this is a real thing that happened, because it's based on a true story, you know? They aren't there. Like, they are there, like, when it's the big stuff, like, when this poor lady's face is beaten in and stuff, and you see that, or when she's just been sold and you can see the marks of the chains on her and stuff. That's pretty powerful, but when you look closely, you look at their nails are clean, like they've just had a manicure. When you look at their, like, skin, it's all silky and smooth. And yeah, it really feels like they didn't... Like, they put a lot of effort into certain shots, but into the overall film, it looks, I hate to say it, but lazy in a few ways. And it kind of brings you out of the world. It makes it seem a little more fantasy-like. And that is okay for certain parts. Like, they do use symbolism and kind of experimental shots at times, like where you see a piece of corn break open and blood starts pouring out of it and all that, you know. And that would be fine, but once again, just with the fact that everyone looks so clean and nobody looks like they really belong there, and everything's all tinted blue most of the time, like, you don't get the feeling this is the real world. And I don't think that's the intention there. Like, I think the intention is meant to show just how you can take the nicest things and turn them into evil. And how one man can also do the exact opposite. Like, you really, really feel for the main character here. Like, the plot is basically, he's one of the few, well, he's the only person on his black person on his plantation that was taught how to read, and so he grows up to be a preacher, right? Like, and basically, other plantation owners start hiring him through his master to preach to all their slaves in order to get them to settle down. So, basically using the word of God for evil, if you will. And that's what I mean by well written, because damn, that is powerful right there. You really, really feel for these people here, and that's the movie's main strengths. But Honestly, I would be praising this movie, I would be shouting its name from the hills if it weren't for that name. If it weren't for that... And I know that that is technically advertising, and it shouldn't really count towards the movie, but the title is really important here. And I don't think this needed to bring A Birth of a Nation into this at all. So, yeah. That's really all I can say about it. It's a really great movie, really powerful. I do recommend watching it. It's really sad, really disturbing. Of course, maybe kids wouldn't like it, but like if but if that is the type of thing you want to see, if that's it works, especially at the end when you see one of the young kids. This movie takes place in like the 1830s. When you see one of the young kids at the very end, and then there's this amazing shot where it seamlessly transitions to his adult self fighting for the North in the Civil War. Like, that's powerful. But a lot of it, I have to admit, is kind of taken from Roots. And Roots, now that I think about it, Roots is probably the best example of this kind of film, showing the struggle of the slaves and all that. Like, Roots is amazing. So, I guess if you really want to see the masterpiece that probably could have gotten away with calling itself A Birth of a Nation, go see that. But this movie is also really, really damn good. Just... yeah. Just a real shame that they decided to go with that title. That's the only really negative thing I can say about it. But yeah. So, I hope I haven't made too many enemies here. And until next time, I'm Glenn Dyer, and you have been watching A Dyer-Situation.